All right, moment of truth. Somebody's life's about to change. Fabrizio? Niente.
Niente.
Olaf? Nothing. Sven? Uh-oh. Two pair. I'm sorry, Fabrizio.
Che sorry, ma vaffanculo, do you bet all
I'm
of mine?
sorry, you're not gonna see your mom again for a long time. Cause we're going to America.
You know somebody? Of course not, that's not the point. Goodbye, I'll miss you. Goodbye. Goodbye. I'm gonna never forget you.
So slave as a synonym has multiple meanings. It can mean bond servant, bond slave, chattel, as you can see right there, and indentured servant. So that's why I was led to look up this information. I want to share something about the word indenture and how it coincides with the word slave. But I noticed that the word slave is more used and more narrated of what a slave is supposed to be or mean, by the programming of TV, whatever shows or movies they put out, they show what the word slave mean, right? But what about indenture? How it coincides with slave? Let's read it. It's chapter 7. Okay, the relation of master and servant was founded on or arising out of the voluntary contract of two parties. This contract, which was called an indenture, specified the reciprocal rights and obligations of the master and the servant. While the detailed specifications were not uniform in all contracts, the legal relation were essentially the same throughout the history of Pennsylvania, both as a province and a state. Okay. And my point is that this word wasn't geared towards the Aborigine people of America, the so-called Indians, the so-called black people, the so-called African American, colored Negro people. If you look at this really is not even close to having it something to do with them. This has something to do with immigrants that came over here on boats. And if you can see it, you can actually read it to see they had to pay their way to be over here in America, though. I just know we wasn't taught these things in school, so I do my research and study old documents. This is the 1700s. See, like right here, it say in the ordinary indenture, one party in consideration of a sum of money, which in the case of immigrants was paid for their passage to America. See? Promised to bind himself for a definite period as a servant to the debtor, who becomes master upon signing of the contract. During the period specified in the indenture, the servant promised to serve his master honestly and obediently in all things as a good and faithful servant ought to do. Masters, on the other hand, is under obligation to provide for the servant during the time of indenture food, clothing, lodging, which is houses and stuff, or shelter, and at the expiration of the term, freedom dues. See that? That's crazy. So when you look at it right here, it say it is true that the majority of servants came from that class of immigrants who weren't unable or unwilling to pay their passage, but many indentures were issued to those residing in the province. This, and then you can see the date. In an indenture dated May 19, 1824, Susanna Harvester, of her own free will and consent of her father, bonds herself servant to Christian Shinnick for 6 years. Interesting. Now these is foreigners. These is immigrants from other countries. Say it. Oh, it's a lot of information on here, though. I just want to share that because I was taught different. Everybody else was taught different. That it was all the people of color, you know, that was in these type of dire positions, and that wasn't the case. And then right here, real quick, after they completed their indentured slave dues, okay, they was free. They had a reward, the freedom dues, right here, to which every servant was entitled, where provided by law, in case they were not mentioned in the indenture. Look at that. Those servants who came with the first settlers of Pennsylvania received 50 acres of land and usually a year's provision of corn. So the immigrants were getting, rewarded, for coming over and stuff. Interesting. And that's still happening right now too. They looking out for immigrants and stuff, but just something to think about. Gotta read things though, man, because we've been lied to though. So you can read, if you can read it, finish looking at it. But it's Colony Servants, 1700s. But let me get the title.